jump right
The
into it.
financial system is broken, and there's one life raft.
Tell me about that. Why is
called
it broken?
Bitcoin.
What do you do?
Well, look, it's a debt spiral. Simple mathematics. Fiat is done. It's baked. It is guaranteed to debase mathematically. So you need to protect yourself against that. And the apex predator is called Bitcoin. That's why I am trying to help educate people as to the importance of owning this product that I call insurance on the fiat system. And that's what Bitcoin is. It's insurance on the fiat system. And here's the cool thing. You'll have a chance in your life, you'll have 5 opportunities to invest in an asymmetric trade opportunity. 5.
Explain to the audience what asymmetric.
Asymmetric trade means the upside is so exceptional that, and the risk is actually so low that you have to make that trade. It's too good to be true. But the first one that you'll have the opportunity, you'll outsmart yourself. And you'll say, no, it can't be this good, so I'm not going to go into it.
Right.
And then the second one will come along, and you'll be like, I'm not going to miss the second one, so I'm going to actually do that trade. And you double your money, and you get out. And then it goes up 50 times from there. So you didn't actually participate in the asymmetry. The third one, you're not going to be allowed to do because you're going to be working for an institution that won't let you do the trade, which basically leaves you 2 chances for the rest of your life. Bitcoin is that chance.
Give me some examples of asymmetric trades over the years. Obviously, shorting the housing market back in 2008.
That wasn't a trade. Look, I'm not a Armageddon. I don't want the world to end.
Right.
Like,
but if it's going to end, you want to be on the right side of it.
Then what do you have?
Right.
Nothing.
Well,
be careful what you wish for, okay?
I feel like we'll make it through.
Well, let's hear from Gary a little bit. But here's some of my best asymmetric trades were in bonds that, if I describe them to you, it would be lost on most of your audience. But let me say this. Coming out of the great financial crisis in 2008, 2009, I had the shorts on, and we covered, and then we turned it into a long position on certain instruments. And I was buying paper that was worth 100 cents on the dollar with a high degree of certainty. I was buying it at 20 cents on the dollar. Okay? So I had a almost certain guaranteed 5 times over a five-fold return over a 5-year period. The risk was infinitesimally small. And yet the paper was trading at 20 cents on the dollar because people didn't understand what they owned when they bought it. And then when they sold it way, way lower than its intrinsic value. That gives you an opportunity to go into a market and capture that asymmetry.
Right. If you're in the right place in the right time and you're confident enough to go into a bet that typically most people are.
The beautiful thing about bonds, guys, is bonds are mathematics. And I'm an engineer, and I always put mathematics first. Mathematics is the base layer of language. Mathematics is everything as far as I'm concerned.
Yes.
And since bonds are math, if you can isolate these returns with high degree of confidence, never certain, high degree of confidence and low degree of risk, that's when you put it on. There's only one certainty, fiat debasement. That is mathematic certainty that fiat will continue to debase because of the debt spirals that we're in. Hence, you need to protect yourself against that.
Gary, do you agree with the state of fiat currency right now? What are your thoughts there?
Listen, I agree with Greg's viewpoint that fiat, by engineering code, will always debase. We have 7,000 years of history. It's not 7 years, it's 7,000 years of history where all fiat, or let's use a different term for Joe Public, political currency. Okay, I think that's a much better word, and people will go, oh, political currency. Yeah, it's the way your sovereign, your country wants to ensure that their assets are protected, their financial system's working. The problem that Greg will have with the debasement thesis, what he cannot do, and no one can do, is no one can tell you when it completely breaks down. And degradation of fiat currency, it tends to happen like the inverted Big Bang, okay? Like it's slowly through 208, 201, through 78, through 2008, 2009, nobody's liquid. Then 2020, this thing, we've added 40% of the U.S. dollars ever created in the history of mankind, 200 years roughly, in the last 3 years. So like, the analogy I would use, I love Tootsie Rolls. I'll pay you 10 cents if you give me a Tootsie Roll right now. What if you dump 3 million Tootsie Rolls on the floor? Dude, they're not worth anything to me now. They have become a problem for me now. I can't get rid of the Tootsie Rolls. I got to carry them around. I got to put them in the trash can. I got to do a flash sale. I'm going to hire a broker to pay to get the Tootsie Rolls out the way. So anytime you make too much cereal, too much gasoline, too much oil, prices go down. The cool thing about what he's saying is this particular product, a product that's never been introduced to humanity. I can say that with great certainty, at least over the last 12,000 years.
Yes, sir.
Because we did not have this phone, and we did not have the ability to compress data. We are compressing data at the levels of, this used to sit in a warehouse, dude. Okay, so you're able to do things with compression. Now we link up a bunch of people in Vietnam that make $2 a day, and they have this too, and they have Starlink. And now Greg says, hey, you know what, I'm gonna support I'm so fed up with the way education systems run in the United States because it's political. I'm going to go farm out, I'm going to send 8 Bitcoin to a Vietnam executive, and he's going to build a great school.
Yeah.
And that school can teach people around the world. Like, we are losing all the boundaries, okay?
Right.
The physical presence of this world is evaporating. All the plumbing that was situated, all the highways, all the highway structures, all the platforms, they are literally either decaying or failing under high-speed, monster amounts of momentum, money, digital assets, something flowing back and forth. It doesn't have to just be money. So the debasement theory, I totally agree with. I think Bitcoin, the problem with these big traders, I understand his language.
Yeah.
They, like, we get in a shark pit, dude, and everybody's the enemy, and we're going to go drink beers that night when the market closed. But it's a blood sport, okay? I loved it. Like, I did it for 25 years. It was like going into a coliseum with, Arnold Schwarzenegger, man. And only one guy's walking out, okay? His world, though, is not that big. It's not 300 million people setting prices.
Yeah.
It's 12 people, okay?
That's a scary thing.
Dude, I have been in markets where I controlled, literally, I can say this now, I controlled the cost of natural gas and electricity in that country, and not for a day, for years, okay? There's not a lot of people that trade these products.
Yeah.
So when people tell me Bitcoin's a stupid price, I'm like, 300 million people voted on it today. Warren, hey, Warren, you have a bunch of money. He's an asymmetrical investor. That's all he does. He is a total vampire. He is waiting for Goldman Sachs at $90, which he did in 2008.
Yep.
His trade was so asymmetrically situated
Correct.
that he could lose $9 and make 900, and he made the 900.
And he made 900, and he actually had a backstop as well. It's called the Fed. So,
Yeah.
but let's build on that, Gary. You know what's amazing? So I was born in 1963. I'm going to guess Gary was born in 1958. So
No,
you
dude.
it doesn't matter.
It was
But listen,
78.
78. Okay, so it doesn't
There we
matter.
go.
Remember,
I
I'm
was born in
single now.
63.
You know, I
It
still
was
got-
63. So listen,
Get out
this
of
is
all
when
these
I was born.
podcasts, man.
Gary's
This is
saying-
when I was born. All right, 1963. So I was alive when they put 2 men on the moon. All right. Did you know?
Just kidding.
No, I was for sure. I know for certain.
No,
I
you
was
were alive, but
Okay, but
Hypothetically,
now
they put people on the moon.
Oh, okay, true that.
not
But
on
if they
blockchain, it's
didn't,
not true, dude.
if they didn't, the point is the computing power in NASA was less than the computing power of this iPhone.
Isn't that nuts?
No, it's just mathematics.
Yeah.
Okay, and the ability to Moore's law and putting more computing power in chips that allow you to compress the computing power that took 10 floors of computers now get compressed into the computing power of an iPhone. Same thing works with money. Same thing works with technology. All Bitcoin is a technology.
Right. So I'm with you guys on where fiat's going.
Okay.
Inflation, debasement. I agree.
Yeah.
With the electoral system the way
Okay.
that it is, there's no way that we do
incentive
anything
for them
to fix
not
it.
to. Correct.
It's gonna debase eventually. I don't know when. Why are you guys?
No, it is. It is debasing as we speak. It's the mathematics.
Listen,
When you
the whole
say,
world is kinda
be careful
debasing at
though.
the same
Let's
time.
understand that We are not calling for the implosion of the US dollar. I think you need to be careful what you wish for.
Right.
There's a coexistence that can exist where the USA is still the global reserve currency and Bitcoin is the global reserve asset. And be very careful to understand the difference between a currency and an asset. And that's the beauty of Bitcoin. So, you know, we talked a little bit earlier. I am a fiat minimalist. I'm a fiat minimalist.
Right.
Doesn't mean I'm a Bitcoin maximalist. I am a fiat minimalist, and I believe Bitcoin is the best hard asset man has ever created. So when it comes to digital assets, I focus on Bitcoin because it protects against the fiat Ponzi. I'm not going to, I do at times call out the other digital assets as, but what's the biggest shitcoin in the world?
There's probably a lot. There's one.
No, the biggest one. The biggest shitcoin in the world, I hate to say it, is
dollar.
fiat money. Yeah, it's fiat money.
Sure.
So that's the one I'm protecting against.
So what makes you so certain that at the end of this, at the debasement,
Yeah.
that Bitcoin's going to come out and be universally adopted and hold
No.
its value?
It's only probabilities. It's only probabilities. But what other asset has a shot at that? Well, gold. But
Gold.
okay, so we talked about this. What is the audited supply of gold? You don't know.
Right. There's
What is
X
the
factors.
ledger of gold? There is no ledger. How much gold is in Fort Knox? They don't know. How much gold that's in Fort Knox is actually tungsten painted gold? There's no ledger that says that. So Bitcoin is the perfect ledger. Did you know that money is only a ledger? It's a fallacy that barter was a system. Seashells that were used for currency were actually a ledger. A tribe goes out and one of their warriors or one of their hunters kills a buffalo. They didn't pay the guy in seashells for the buffalo. The seashells were a memory that this guy owes you something. So when he goes out and kills a bunch of chickens, you give the seashells back as, hey, I give you a chicken and here is your seashell back. I don't owe you anything anymore. So barter was a bit of a fallacy. If you don't believe me, listen to a guy by the name of Wences Cesars, who grew up in Patagonia, whose parents lost their fortune 4 times in Argentina.
Yes.
He's one of the world's greatest Bitcoiners. And he talks about why Bitcoin is so superior to gold. Where did he give this? At the gold conference in Chicago about 8 years ago.
Sure, that was very popular.
No, why not? Gold guys get it.
Yeah.
Gold guys understand hard money. It just is that Bitcoin is a better hard money than gold.
So you said it was a calculated bet that Bitcoin's going to reign superior at the end of all of this.
That's all investing is a range of possibilities or probabilities and putting an expected value outcome on that, correct?
What are the bullet points, if you were to list them, at why Bitcoin is going to come out on top and be worth a value of, what was the number that you put on?
Well, I have a price target on Bitcoin of about $2 million US dollars per Bitcoin in today's dollars. I need to be very clear about that. And I can get to it in a number of ways, but it's a probabilities analysis.
So you think it's mispriced today?
I can show you 2 ways of why it's mispriced.
Well,
One,
but you think it's mispriced by 1.9730 million.
I do, or another way of saying it is I think the market's giving me a 1.5% chance of being right. And I'm not certain I'm going to be right, but I'm way higher than a 1.5% chance of being right. I could walk through those probabilities with you and how you do that as an expected value outcome.
This gets back to, sorry for interrupting. This gets back to the asymmetrical bet.
Correct.
Right.
So I can lose 28,000.
Yep.
That's it. I can lose 28 grand. This is better than a lottery ticket, okay? Much better. Because the lottery tickets, I stood in line at 7-Eleven yesterday and watched 2 very broke people, middle-aged too, like 55 years old, buying $17 worth of tickets. These people know exactly what tokens they're wanting. They're buying tokens in paper form, have no clue how much volume there is in these tokens, right? Bitcoin, I'm going to lose 28 grand. By the way, you don't have to buy all of it. You could buy 10 Satoshis. What, that'd be 28 bucks? Something like that, 1,000 Satoshis?
Yeah,
Whatever. You can
thousands.
buy $28. What,
Yeah.
Okay, the $28 has the ability to go to 0.
Yep.
But what if we're right?
No,
You
it
got
goes
a
up 100
lot of
times.
smart-
It goes
you got
up
a lot of
100
smart
times.
people,
Yeah.
right? Like investing in this space. I can't do that with gold.
Correct.
If I invest in gold today and the price goes to 5,000, I'm quite certain that all the jewelry in India gets melted down. Okay, and then the miners, these guys that love drilling shit in the mountains, they will drill and find
'Cause
gold until
they have
it's
the ore
end of
bodies.
time.
They have the ore bodies already.
Get
It's just not
$5,000
profitable.
Yeah.
So we talked about this. Sorry to interrupt. I'd love to. Okay, so what
Same
is
with
the
oil,
program?
by the way.
What?
Yeah,
Absolutely with
$20
oil.
oil,
Okay,
we
I
have
got
oil forever.
Okay,
They'll drill
absolutely.
forever.
Okay,
Whatever.
what is the supply of gold if it goes to $10,000 an ounce?
Unlimited.
Not unlimited. It's just not 2% annually, which it is right now.
Right.
Okay. What is the supply of Bitcoin if it goes from 30,000 to 100,000?
Exactly what it is.
100%. Therein lies the beauty.
Yes.
How much gold is in seawater?
Probably a lot.
No, it's absolutely, it's almost, there's thousands of tons of gold in seawater. There's a profitability
Totally.
at which point at which point seawater becomes profitable to mine. How do you work that into your gold supply? You don't.
No. And
So
that's
the beauty.
An uncontrolled variable with gold that you can definitely run
That's
the,
why.
run the risk
Okay,
of
so
with
let's
the investment.
hit the crux of this. There's hard assets in the world,
Yes.
and there's soft assets. Hard assets are real estate, gold, equities to an extent, and soft assets are bonds. I would not advise people to sell their gold to go into Bitcoin before they sold their bonds to go into Bitcoin, which is to say everybody needs a certain exposure to Bitcoin. It's got to be greater than zero. Where do you find that allocation? Well, if you still own some bonds, you find that allocation from your bond silo. You don't sell your gold. You don't sell your real estate to buy Bitcoin until you've exhausted the supply of your bonds to buy Bitcoin. And then you work down or up the hard asset spectrum until you find something that you can invest in using the proceeds to buy Bitcoin.
Talk to me about some of the X factors that could happen to Bitcoin that could cause it to come tumbling down. And these things scare me.
Okay.
So I'd love to hear your thoughts on a few of them.
Okay. They hacked the blockchain.
They hack the blockchain.
Yeah.
What happens?
Bitcoin goes to zero.
What are the chances of that happening?
Greater than zero, but less than 1%, in my opinion. But here's the crazy thing. Again, you set up an expected value outcome where Bitcoin can go to $2 million. Okay.
Yes.
I could walk you through the math of that price target. But right now, the market is telling me I have a 1.5% chance of being right.
Sure.
I'm not 100% certain, but am I more certain than 1.5%? Yes. The market is telling me with 98.5% likelihood that it's going to zero, which includes hacking the blockchain, the government, the turning off the internet, them developing a better Bitcoin because we come with scarcer supply. That's easy. Develop a network that has the same security as Bitcoin right now. It won't happen. But is it a possibility? Yeah, sure. I guess it's a possibility. But in that 98.5%, they're telling me it's going to zero. I'm sorry, guys, but you're wrong.
Right.
Maybe it should be 5% chance it's going to zero. Here's a math problem for you. If it's 5% chance it's going to zero and 95% chance it's going to 2 million in today's dollars, what's the proper trading price of Bitcoin?
I don't know. No.
I'll tell you what
Let
it
me-
is.
let-
It's
let-
$1.8 million.